What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Trenches Politics TV. Let's get it.
Promise I'm gonna speak up. When I hop about to cut, I promise I'm gonna speak up. When I hop about to cut, I promise I'm gonna speak up. When I hop about to cut, I promise I'm gonna make a scene. Got lights, cameras, action, but I promise that I won't be seen. She told me that she loved me, but I knew that she make believe. But this ain't even about it, so let me catch you up to speed. Red target, slaying demons. I be quick to put them on that red carpet. TMZ 'em. I could get them taken after one call. Liam Neeson. I was mumbling, now I'm speaking. Please can't ask me if I'm able to
doing nothing. Trenches, you can come by. Trenches, you can come by. It's working now, Trenches. Come back.
I'm Trenches Politics. Shout out to my nigga Trenches Politics. He watched that goddamn show.
Trenches Politics, what it do, bro?
Hey, Trenches.
Trenches, that's my dog. Salute, salute. I like that.
Trenches Politics seen me just trying to join his live and he ain't asked me.
We're laughing.
I see you, Trenches.
What's up, gang? Welcome back to Trenches Politics TV. We definitely politicking from the trenches. Now, look, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share the video out, set your notifications. A formerly incarcerated advocate for the NYC criminal justice reform system has been arrested for murder. A man who spent decades in prison before starting a new chapter as a high-profile advocate for the criminal justice reform system has been arrested and charged in the brutal murder and dismemberment of a Bronx man. Sheldon Johnson, 48, was arrested and charged with murder, manslaughter, criminal possession of a weapon, and concealment of a human corpse on Thursday. According to New York Police Department, Johnson was arraigned Thursday and pleaded not guilty to all charges. He was remanded back into custody and is due in court on Monday. He stands accused of fatally shooting Colin Small, 44, inside Small's Bronx apartment, according to court records. Police were called to Small's apartment after neighbors overheard gunshots coming from inside on Tuesday. According to a law enforcement source, neighbors heard 2 gunshots and then 2 more shots, the source said. Police told CNN that when officers arrived, they found an unidentified human torso at the apartment. The Office of Chief Medical Examiner will determine the cause of death, according to the NYPD. Johnson was at Small's apartment when officers arrived. A law enforcement official told CNN when law enforcement officials visited the suspect's Harlem home, they discovered a human arm, legs, and head with a gunshot wound stored in the freezer. A law enforcement official told CNN surveillance videos also showed the suspect entering and exiting the victim's building wearing different disguises and at one point carrying a large blue bin. The official said the bin was found at Small's home with the torso inside. Another law enforcement officials told CNN. After decades in prison, Johnson was released last May and described himself as a client advocate for at-risk youth at Queen Defenders, which provides legal representation for people who have been charged with a crime in Queens and cannot afford to hire a lawyer. Since his release, Johnson has been a public voice for rehabilitation after incarceration last month. He appeared on Joe Rogan's popular podcast where he detailed his journey through the criminal justice system. He described himself as formerly the top of the food chain in the Bloods. In 1990, Johnson was convicted for homicide, robbery, and several other charges. According to court records, he was incarcerated on June 8, 1999. The Queens Defenders declined to comment when asked about Johnson Friday. Brian Stanley, a justice court advocate at Avenues for Justice, an NYC-based group that advocates for alternatives to incarcerate for youth offenders, told CNN he hopes people can distinguish between Johnson's alleged crimes and the work he was doing in criminal justice reform system. We can acknowledge the insanity of this, and at the same time be able to look at the broader picture and see the general impacts of the kind of work that we do and that even Mr. Johnson was engaged in, he told CNN. He also added that jails and prisons are violent places and noted that Johnson had been released less than a year ago. The trauma that people experience while incarcerated, I just think it's something that the general public is not really wrapping their mind around, he said. He also said a product of incarceration. Speaking on the Joe Rogan experience, Johnson described himself as a product of incarceration who faced social and economic challenges in his youth. He said, my father was incarcerated when I was young at an early age. He did about 15 years, he said. I was incarcerated too. My grandfather was incarcerated too. My great-grandfather was a slave, he said. He described being sent to a psychiatric facility for behavioral issues as a child. He also said this is where he learned how to be a criminal at. He also, afterwards, he said he never returned back to school and turned to selling drugs in the street to survive. I also had a nation under me, he said, of gangs, relationships during the 1980s and 1990s. He said that he continued to sell drugs while in prison. It wasn't until after enduring solitary confinement and other harsh treatment in prison that he decided to turn away from crime, he said on the podcast show. I made the decision that I was going to walk away and I didn't care about what the consequences was, he said. And I also said to myself, I've been doing bad for so long, I'm going to try to do something good. He got his GED in prison, he said, and stopped his gang involvement. Johnson's profile describes him as the co-founder, formerly incarcerated Citizens Against an organization geared toward dismantling, stemming, and pipeline of mass incarceration. Okay, so yeah, this is a shame, y'all. So if y'all ain't seen none of these clips that I'm talking about, check it out on his next clip, and make sure you hit that like button and subscribe and share the video, set your notification. But this is Sheldon Johnson after he got arrested. He hit the it was on the news. Check it out right now.
Police make an arrest after a human torso and foot were found inside a building in the Bronx.
The suspect has been identified as Sheldon Johnson, a criminal justice activist who previously served time in prison.
All right, Fox 5's Linda Schmidt live in the High Bridge section of the Bronx tonight with more on this surprising turn of events. Linda.
Yeah, certainly surprising. Well, first of all, this guy said he had turned his life around after spending most of his adult life in prison. In fact, just last year, he started working with the Queens Public Defender's Office. Well, now he is accused of shooting a man in the head in the apartment building right here behind me and then dismembering his body. 48-year-old Sheldon Johnson of Harlem is charged with murder and concealment of a human corpse. This is Johnson recently on Joe Rogan's podcast, talking about how he had turned his life around after a life of crime. He was working with troubled youth with the Queens Public Defender's Office. The shirt he is wearing says Queens Defenders.
I got into school. I got my GED. From there, I got involved in correspondence courses. I started interacting with guys who were teaching ART, aggression replacement training, and I started to begin to understand how these concepts work, what positive visualization is, deep breathing, how to remove yourself, conflict resolution.
Well, police say Johnson's life of crime apparently was not over. He is accused of shooting 44-year-old Colin Small in the head in Small's sixth-floor apartment on Summit Avenue and then dismembering his body. Detectives combing over potential evidence again today. Inside the apartment in the High Bridge section of the Bronx, a law enforcement source telling me they found a man's torso and foot in a plastic storage bin. Investigators also found the victim's head, legs, and arms in Johnson's freezer in his apartment building in Harlem. The superintendent of the victim's apartment building saying a neighbor heard gunshots, and surveillance video tells the story.
The tenant of the apartment, he came in, he never came out. So I called police because it's suspicious.
The super providing me with these surveillance pictures inside the building that allegedly show Johnson carrying bags in and out of the apartment building the day of the murder and changing his clothes several times, as well as wearing disguises. Now, today, I also reached out to the Queens Public Defender's Office where Sheldon Johnson had been working, but they had no comment. Back inside to you.
Now, the father of the criminal justice activist charged with murder. Hold on. Let's see. Now, the father of the criminal justice activist that was charged with murder, he said he was shocked to learn his ex-con son was arrested because he thought he was reformed after a decades-long prison sentence. He said, "I am surprised my son was arrested." The alleged dad, Sheldon Johnson Sr., said, "I was shocked." He learned and studied in prison for 26 years. He continued, he is a good man, he says. He was doing work in the law office. There was no problems there. The accused killer, Sheldon Johnson, was busted after he was allegedly caught on surveillance video coming in and out of the victim's apartment on Summit Avenue near West 162nd Street in different outfits, including a blonde wig. And the officers also encountered Johnson Jr. at the apartment where they were responding to the check of the neighbors reporting hearing gunshots and spotted the alleged suspect hauling a blue bin inside it. Yeah, that's crazy, man. So, let's see. The victim's torso and other foot were found stuffed in a blue bin, cops added. Police haven't yet disclosed the relationship between Johnson Jr. and the victim. This is the victim. Let me share it real quick. Police haven't yet disclosed the relationship between Johnson Jr. and the victim, but law enforcement sources told the Post that they were lifelong friends. Investigators are still probing what may have caused Johnson Jr. to allegedly snap, but are looking at whether he and the victim crossed paths at Sing Sing prison in Westchester County, and if they possibly had beef there. The accused killer and Small both also had lengthy rap sheets in New York and Pennsylvania, including multiple drug busts. Records obtained by the Post. The two men at one point also shared the same alias, Timothy Gibbs, in Pennsylvania, per the victim, who has a string of robbery and narcotic arrests to his name. He was also jailed in New York He was jailed in New York for murder in 2006 and was released on parole in 2017. The prison records show that. Meanwhile, Johnson Jr., whose criminal record dates back to at least 1990, was released from the prison in 2019 after serving 20 years for a series of armed robberies in 1990. Man, that's crazy. The father also said, "I still think he did a lot of good for the community." Pretty much what she's saying. And he said, he said, "I think he threw his life away, but I still love him." He continued, "I don't know what happened. I live in New Jersey. He lives in New York. He didn't talk enough with the family." Johnson Jr. has been charged with manslaughter and weapon possession and small slaying. He was held without bail. Following his Bronx criminal arraignment Thursday night. That's crazy, y'all. But if y'all didn't see, the guy look like this. What he look like right here? His victim. And if y'all ain't see him on the Joe Rogan podcast, check it out. His next clip right here. Make sure
when you decide that you're gonna try to do good, like how difficult was the process of trying to
It was lonely.
establish an education?
It was lonely. I had, on one side I had the guys who I used to run with saying, "The fuck is he doing?" And then I had the guys who were actually doing good, just watching me to see if I was going to crumble or fail, or you had a handful of guys that committed me and said, "Yo, I applaud you, I got you, man, if you need some help." I can help you do this, or I can help you do that. But you know, I felt like everybody, the world was watching, including my family, because they didn't believe it. Up until the point to where I graduated from Cornell, my cousin told me, she said, you know, when you called me and invited me to the graduation, she said, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe nothing you had. Nothing you had told me probably for the last 10 years, or anything that you said you did, until I saw you at that graduation. So, you know, I had family, I had everybody just kind of just waiting for me to fail. But I just felt like I was just determined to succeed. I just had this energy in my spirit, and it was the will to live. Nothing you had told me.
So yeah, gang, like, button, subscribe, set your notification. I know I'm saying it a lot, but I'm trying to get stuck in your head. I'm not playing, I'm taking over this, trying to do this right. I support everybody, support me. But yeah, do y'all think Sheldon Johnson is guilty for the charges that he did with
when you
right
decide that you're going to try to do good? Like, how difficult was the process of trying to?
Comments are saying that it sounds like a setup, and a lot of people are saying they can't believe that he turned his life around and then came out just to do this. So they're trying to figure out, was it something that this man had did? Like, clearly you could see this dude walking in and out several different times with different outfits. So it seems like he probably premeditated it, but I mean, I don't know. That's why I want y'all to get in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. And also, a lot of people are saying he's making it worse for a lot of different advocating, rehabilitated people coming out of prison trying to do the job. And they're also saying this proves the point by prison not being able to reform people. And hold on, let's see. I'm just trying to figure out what y'all think, man. Do y'all think this dude is guilty? Do y'all think he probably has something that
when you decide that you're gonna
check out this next clip right here and see what a lot of the neighbors had to say about him when they first was hearing the gunshots, and they was asked about it. Check it out on this next clip.
It was like the devil just crawled through here. Sheldon Johnson, accused of killing a man and dismembering his body. But Johnson says they have the wrong man.
I'm innocent.
The victim, 44-year-old Colin Small. Tuesday night, police found his torso and arms inside his apartment in the High Bridge section of the Bronx after the super called cops. A tenant called him around 1 a.m.
Someone was pleading for their life.
Prosecutors allege at one point he was seen on video leaving the victim's apartment wearing the victim's clothing. Then last night, investigators say they found the victim's head and legs in Johnson's freezer at his Harlem apartment. The medical examiner says the victim was shot once in the head. Johnson is an ex-con who today works as a criminal justice reform advocate. He served about 25 years behind bars for attempted murder and has a long rap sheet filled with other violent crimes. The courtroom was filled with his supporters at his arraignment tonight, with one wearing a jacket reading, specializing in wrongful conviction cases. The executive director of his employer, the Queen's Defenders, also at court. They all declined comment.
Yeah, so I just think it's crazy, man. It's crazy how would somebody just come out of jail after serving all that time and then want to get revenge on somebody, unless it was something that was done to him in jail. I mean, probably, because they did say they were using the same name, so some kind of way these dudes had to know each other. And then it's kind of crazy for the dude to be in this apartment when the police arrived. Now, a lot of people saying it was a setup, but I don't think so. It don't seem like a setup. I mean, allegedly. So I don't know. You know what I mean? All this whole thing, you're going to say allegedly, but it just seems crazy, man. As y'all can see, y'all see him right there with the different outfits on. Do whatever you got to do. You know what I'm saying? But who knows what this dude had, what type of relationship he had with this guy. You see what I'm saying? He probably could have been being bullied by this guy in prison and came out and wanted his revenge. You never know. I mean, or he could have been molested by this guy or anything, allegedly, you know what I'm saying? And he got out. Cause I just want to figure out what would make this dude throw away his old career, and he's only been out like a month, and he goes on a podcast and he talks about his story, get placed in a new system. Already a lot of people not that fortunate enough to get that kind of position. Like you heard what his dad said. His dad said, I believe that he was changed, but then he also feel like it was too soon for him to be out in society, being in that kind of position that fast. I mean, he just did 20 years, you know what I'm saying? He probably could have been triggered off of something or any damn thing. But let me know what y'all think. Get in that comment box, hit that like button, share the video, subscribe. Definitely get in that comment box. Tell me what y'all think about the situation. I know it's been a couple of days, but I'm back at work, back doing this thing. I'm gonna drop at least 1 or 2 videos every day, plus a shirt. Let's make sure that joint get in the algorithm. Thank you for supporting the channel, and keep rocking with Trenches Politics TV. Definitely politicking from the trenches. Let's get it. Let's go.